Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, May 20th at 9 a.m. We'll start our meeting. Laura, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we got Stephen Gilday from the Central Oregon Public Safety Chaplain.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Father. Thank you for this day. From its rising to its setting sun, you, Lord, remind us each day of the beauty, majesty, power, and might, and of your unending love for us all. May we see today, through all you have created, the fullness of who you are, mighty God. May this court be about the business before and today, having been reminded that you are Lord, and that your words say that you guide the thoughts and the hearts of kings and the rivers.
Amen. Thank you, sir. All right, public comment? Anybody in the room today? Anybody online? Just please put something in the chat if you'd like to speak. Looking like nothing. And then we'll go into the consent agenda. Anybody, any changes, proposed changes?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Discussion.
All those in favor?
Rick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Got quite a crew here from Housing Works. Do you have one that wants to talk, or are you guys just gonna come and mob us? Oh, yeah. It's just right up there. We've improved our audio. I don't know if you've been here recently, but we were really having to talk close to the mic, and I think we've improved it so you can just talk normally, but we'll reevaluate if nobody can hear you. Can everybody hear her?
Say, is
in
it
the back?
turned on, Brianna?
I don't think it's on.
I think we,
Is that?
oh yeah, oh,
there it
look at
is.
that.
Oh.
Well
Just,
done, Chelsea.
This, if I start getting a little
Yeah.
too animated, how's that? So commissioners, it's lovely to see you. I'm Lynn McConnell. I'm the executive director for Housing Works, and I wanted to introduce the whole contingent of us. Keith Wooden is our real estate director. He's the numbers guy, and so we're gonna all learn some things, most likely. And then I also have a handful of our commissioners. We have Michelle Jonas and Laura Kraske Cooper, and then Barbara, Barbara Punch over here. So you all know this already. You are in charge of selecting or helping us select the commissioners for our board as a quasi-governmental entity, and they are here serving at your will. So we're very thankful for the folks that we have with us. So Housing Works' mission is fostering dignity through housing. And you all know that having housing is dignity for a lot of our folks. Gives you the opportunity to provide for your family sometimes, whether that's growing your own food or just sort of having the space to decorate sometimes is enough. Next slide, please. These are our core programs. And this is really the organizational impact, but we'll focus a little bit on Crook County as we go through. Right now, we are pumping about 13 million annually into our communities through rent assistance. The vast majority of that goes to private landlords. And so those are dollars that are then going to show up again at the hardware store and at the grocery store and all the other services as folks go. Next one. So wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about Crook County and the needs analyses the state is putting together. These are largely focused on Prineville, the city within the urban growth boundary, but I thought it was important for you all to recognize also what these numbers are in case this wasn't part of your day-to-day. The first pillar is your expected population growth in the next roughly 20-year horizon. The second is the number of new homes you should expect to build And that means all of us as a community, because obviously most of us are not out there individually doing that as part of public sector work like you. The state dashboards have shown that so far you're doing a tremendous job of providing the market rate housing that is needed for that future growth. So you're at about 34% of your goal already met, which is awesome. The third pillar is the need for affordable housing, and this is where we can help. Unfortunately, we haven't quite been in that same trend line of meeting the need for affordable in this region in the same way that we're meeting the need for market. So we feel like there's a better job we can be doing working with you, and that's a piece of why we're here. Next slide, please. Please feel free to stop me at any point if you have questions also.
I do have on the 13 million, is that over the tri-county?
Correct. Yeah, and we're going to come back to the Crook County
how that
numbers in
goes.
just a
Okay.
sec. Yeah. Sorry, I dashed in here today.
It's okay.
Okay. So this is what we have today in Crook County for affordable housing. Our units are represented on the left. There's about, I think, 122, I believe, of ours, if I can read correctly. No, yeah, 122. Whew. Got it. The ones in the middle are other folks' units and general affordable. And then on the right is specialty units. So ALF in this case stands for assisted living facilities. So it's really a much broader category, but folks who need additional assistance. And so that's sort of the makeup of our units. So we're close to half of what you have for affordable. Okay. This also shows the breakdown of affordability within what the state is saying you need in order to meet the need. And you probably know this, but just in case, the way they come up with these numbers is by looking at your historic growth patterns and trying to determine how that projects forward. So this is looking at who's already here in Prineville, in Crook County, and projecting based on that what we need to grow. You can see that the most needed affordability is the lowest affordability. That's 30% AMI. And there's no question as to why there's less of that. It's the hardest to build. But these are pretty critical folks in your community. Things like folks like fixed income seniors, especially if one spouse passes, they fit that 30% AMI mark. Minimum wage workers, if they're supporting children, especially if they're not working full-time minimum wage, which at minimum wage is real hard sometimes to get that full 40 hours. Entry-level kindergarten assistants, I just pulled up some job listings that would fit well into this category, and a number of others. So we currently have folks in our portfolio that were in assisted living and could no longer afford it and had to come to a traditional affordable rental because that's all they could do. So it's a pretty broad range of folks and not always who we initially think of when we're thinking about who might be in affordable housing. But that 30% AMI mark is really, really tough to get to. And we'll talk about why in a second. The least need in affordable, and this is really interesting to me, is that 60 to 80% AMI. That's a little bit higher than we tend to serve unless we're doing homeownership work, but that's the bucket that Thistle and Nest and some of the other homeownership folks who are working out here will hit really effectively as well. Okay, next slide. Any questions? I see you all thinking a little. Can't tell if there's something there yet for me or not.
Something there.
Yeah, of course, there's always something there. And in terms of if you need something more from me to explain. Okay, so here we go with Crook County's 88 vouchers currently in use today. You'll see a little bit of the breakdown within that. So of those 88, we have 43 elderly households, 62 disabled, et cetera. There's a little bit of overlap there. That math counts duplication, if that makes sense. We are issuing about $80,000 a month in rent assistance in Crook County right now. So it's just in Crook. Yeah.
I have a question. So when you look at the disabled,
Uh-huh.
and we're looking at these 2 new apartments that are being built and stuff, are they taking into a percentage of for disabled and wheelchair access? Are we seeing that? Because that's, I know from doing the RIP at Health Council, that was a very big factor, that we weren't getting enough disabled.
Yes, great question. I really appreciate that. That is a huge emphasis, I'd say, at the state level, because our financing does come in part from state or federal government. We answer to them in terms of what they need. So with our future developments, you'll see a higher level of accessibility. It's also something we've heard from the community as a need. None of us are getting younger. I had to hobble down the steps this morning for something totally unrelated, but every time that happens, I think about what if, and there's only a matter of time till I'm going to need a single level or something like that also. And so we're really leaning into that accessibility. There are percentages that folks have to meet for building codes, state building code for accessibility. We tend to, and I think going forward, we'll continue to push those limits so that we're well over. And I'm trying to think of in the most recent building we designed, which isn't here, we were like 30%, is that right? About 30% accessible of some level. So, and there's kind of different levels of accessibility. Yeah. Okay. The other thing I wanted to bring up on this slide before we move on is that 27 of the 88 households that we're serving right now were homeless in Crook County before we gave them assistance. So we're helping keep your streets clean by housing folks. Next slide, please. So in addition to our housing choice voucher program, which is the one we're most familiar for, we have a really excellent homeownership program and what's called HomeQuest, or we have various different names for it, but essentially the goal of this program is to help people gain income so that they can move off benefits. So this is a key piece in our larger strategy, trying to move folks forward however we can. We have 3 full-time staff who do a tremendous job. I love overhearing them because it's like I'm getting coached in my life goals also. They're really tremendous, and they help folks buy houses, go back to school, start businesses, et cetera. So really, really powerful program. And you can see the average income of folks who are buying homes. Pretty impressive. So they do a lot of good work. We work very closely with affordable homeownership developers as well as the market to try to find opportunities for folks to stabilize and move off benefits. Next slide. And then this is an example of one of our folks. I don't know if you know Clara. It took a while. She had to work really hard to help get off of her assistance. She started with us in 2005, and you can see her steps towards stability, but she was able, after getting a better career and putting away some savings, she was able to purchase a home for her and her family and is invested in this community since then.
I hate to be the one asking the question. So when you look back at the slide previously,
Yeah.
we haven't done anything in Cook County since 2019.
No purchases, correct. No home purchases.
How do we encourage, we're in 2026. That's a big gap.
I love
What do
that
we-
question.
What do we need to do to encourage that we get more of it?
That's our next few slides. Do you mind if I
Okay.
keep going? That was
Okay.
the perfect
be quiet.
segue. Thank you. Okay, next slide. So now we're going to switch topics a little, and this might be a little more of a duo in the presentation, but I'm going to get us going, and Keith is going to stop me if I start going in the wrong direction. Okay, next. Oh, okay. So here, just keep going, keep going. These are the costs of any traditional building, right? And we pay roughly the same cost as any market rate developer. This is real world numbers for 100 units of housing in Crook County. And based on some of our most recent pro formas, we rarely do a full 100. So we're not actually usually looking for a $36 million capital stack. That's what this is called, is the capital stack. But this is just, it's a nice round number, so that's where we started. So you can see we all need to bring home something to feed our families at the end of the day. The cost of the sticks and bricks, 28 million is the estimate, lots of soft costs in there, et cetera. In a traditional deal, that's what's shown on the right. What you would see is a mortgage for about 70% of the value of that development, because the rents in a traditional environment will pay for that mortgage. And so banks are comfortable lending at that amount. And then the rest comes through from private equity or investors, et cetera, and that closes the gap. And then you get apartments or homes that may be a little more expensive than what you were hoping for. And this is a great real world example of what you're seeing in Prineville right now. right? And I don't know if those rents match up perfectly with what's being put on the ground and advertised by others, but you get the idea. That doesn't feel like a sustainable amount of rent for most folks in Crook County to pay. So next slide. And there's our X. This is great. That was great timing. So this is what it looks like. I believe this is for us. And yeah, for affordable. So same costs on the left, right? But this is what happens when we try to build. Because our rents are suppressed, the banks won't lend. And we do use conventional financing. We go to the banks for our regular loan like anybody else would. They will only cover about 35% of our total costs because our rents are so suppressed and we drive those down. We're a bigger risk to them because we can't just grab whatever rents we want when we want those. And so we end up with also some cash investment. Typically that'll come from investors that work with the state through something like tax credits. So they get a benefit on their taxable income by working with us. But we still have a big gap. So Commissioner Hemrick, this is where the fun begins.
Okay.
Let's keep going here. So this means we're not getting any apartments built, right? If we have this big gap, keep going, Brianna. Thank you. Okay, so if our goal is to keep the rents at that level, then we use tax credits to fill in that equity piece. And then in case you can't tell, that's us up at the upper right, all those crazy colorful people. We're all circling up and trying to figure out how to pull it together. So keep going. Sorry to make you click so much. I hope I don't give you carpal tunnel or something. These are the ways that we collectively work to fill that gap with public and private sector partners. It can be anything from a land donation. That doesn't even need to be a straight donation. It can be a reduction in cost. It all helps kind of meet that greater goal. We're really trying to talk some professionals that we've worked with for a long time into giving us reduced fee services or things like that. We sometimes crowdfund. What that last one says, it's kind of blurry, is nonprofit developer. That's essentially us. We're not looking to make a ton of money off of this. And so we're able to either defer or reduce our fees a lot of times to help get that across the line. Any sort of fee waivers, SDC exemptions, things like that, all help kind of meet that need. So we're a little scrappy. You all know this already. And we're going to try to combine as much as we can, work across the community. And ideally, we're providing a benefit to the community that the larger community sees and wants to contribute to. And that's how it comes together. So Barnes Butte, Ochiko School, those are both great examples, Barnes Butte Apartments, of what we have done in collaboration with you and the city of Prineville. Do you want to say anything else on that before I?
Oh, you covered it.
Okay. Okay. I did want to say, keep going. You're good. You're good. Most of us sadly do not have that 10 million gap just sitting around. We're included in that. That's part of the problem with getting housing built, is that upfront cost that we need to sink into it. And our developments are, knock on wood, quite stable compared to market rate. We know what we're doing. This guy over here has a brain like nobody else in the region, frankly, or even maybe the state. And so we're able to do it very, very slim and resourceful, with not a lot of extra money going in and out. There's actually contractors who won't work with us anymore because they don't get enough change orders in. I think that means that Keith is doing a pretty phenomenal job over here trying to keep those costs down. But these are the ways we get there, Commissioner Hemrick, is all of the different possibilities that can come together and fill that gap, as we call it, to try to get the housing built. Every development's going to look a little different. Sometimes there's going to be more sort of land use costs or grading, let's say, or any number of other things. Others are a little bit easier to plug and play. But at this point, this is sort of what we're looking with and trying to work with to bring these projects to fruition. So we'd love to do more with you. That's part of why we're here. Really appreciate the time with you today, and the opportunity to speak with you. You should have a copy of this presentation. If you want to look into the data, you're welcome to. These are live links that you should be able to click through. I'm also available if you have any questions and want to suss this out further. And hopefully, I think we might be planning a tour at some point down the line for later this summer or fall. And so hopefully we can dig into some more details. Happy to talk specifics of any of our buildings or how we get there. But essentially, that's it. We're looking for the ways to be opportunistic about properties that may be available, any sort of resources that may be available out there. We will take those and deploy that into housing for the community as quickly as we can.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Informative. And the tour we did last year was really important. I really liked it.
I did too. It was fun. You guys are a really fun carpool. I'll say that. We had fun cruising the back roads, didn't we?
Okay, perfect.
Thank you all
very
so
much.
much.
Camille?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I am here to present for Eric, who is out this week on the Amendment 1 of the CMHP agreement. In the agenda item request, you'll see that there is some verbiage change, some language change. Overall, the responsibilities for Crook County should remain the same. And then there is a funding increase and some reallocation of taking money from other project areas and moving it to a more general project code.
Within the
Wi-
agreement.
Within the agreement, yeah. So you'll see there's like a $217,000 increase, a net increase, in addition to moving some other funds around.
Where did you get the increase? Is that from the state funding or how did that come about?
It is from the state, yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking at your priorities. There was a question. I remember I asked you yesterday, and now I can't think of what my question. I should have written it down. But I read your priorities and there was something in there that kind of, what was it? Now, I should have written it down, Camille. It was page 28. You were exactly right. I'm on 9. I'm 15. Okay. Yeah. God, good. See, this is why we have Will. He can remember what I can't even remember. There we go. You are right. And I told you page 28. I should have remembered that. 6. Oh, I found it very odd. So when you get in here, it's services to remove barriers to community-based care. They crossed out, and they did it twice. They crossed out room and board, and they put in costs associated with obtaining or continuing representative payee or guardianship services. Is that room and board written fancy? Is that assist? I mean, what does that mean, Camille?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
My understanding is that they've made just a more general language,
So
be more
it would
comprehensive.
okay, so you
Yeah.
would include more situations.
Yes,
Okay. I figured it's a fancy way of saying room and board.
yes.
Right? Any more questions?
Mm-mm. Here. Well, I guess we need a motion, and I'm already passed in the computer, so I make a motion to approve Amendment 1 to the CMHP funding agreement. Is there an actual number on it, Camille?
I'm sorry,
I've got to go all the way
computer?
back now that I went to page 28.
Yes, it's 054285.
054285.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Morning, I.
Okay.
Can't believe you remembered the page. I'm amazed.
All right, Joe, you're up.
I missed you last time. You weren't here last fall. I thought you was hiding from me.
Yeah, I saw you were coming.
Right. Welcome, commissioners. We're here again, 6 years in. So we're doing the road crossings again. It's been a struggle this year. Had some health issues, had some issues with SMAP coming back at the last minute saying, whoops, we can't do your road crossings. And there's 4 people in the tri-community here or the area that do them. Luckily we found the 4th one at the last minute. We looked at Portland and they were double plus $100 to do the same thing. So I was in a little bit of a panic. We're a little low on car count because of the economy. So it's been a struggle this year, but we're coming together. We got 35 cars and we're all set to go. I got a guy, Doug from Sisters, that is able to do it for us at a good rate. And so
Perfect.
I was kind of putting it off till I had somebody that said, yes, we can do it, because I didn't want to come here before I could tell you that we're going to do it. So we've got traffic control people in play and ready to go for another year.
Well, you're always a great partner, so
All right.
we appreciate what you do, and we appreciate how safe
I'm-
you make things. And
I'm disappointed I'm not sending my money down here this time. So I like spending it here if I can.
I appreciate that.
Thanks again.
Yep.
We'll see you this fall.
Okay.
Yep.
I think Brian's turn.
What, we just make a motion to approve the
Safety plans.
safety plan as presented. Make a motion to approve the safety plan as presented.
And I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Heinrich, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Okay, Will?
Thank you, commissioners. Before you this morning is an update to our public records request policy. We've discussed this now several times in prior meetings. This updated version hasn't changed since the version we discussed last week at work session. But just kind of for the sake of the public, I'm just going to run through some of the highlights. As you might recall, board. Sorry, am I not being picked up? Okay. Thank you, Brianna. The board asked us to look at an updated policy to kind of improve efficiency, cost effectiveness of our public records request process. This updated policy is intended to improve communication with the public and transparency. The policy itself is intended to be a clear, provide a more standardized public records request review process, and hopefully bring us into better alignment with Oregon's public records law. Through the process of updating the policy, we've incorporated board, legal staff, and public input into the updated policy. Some of the main changes from the current policy: the county manager or designee is now designated to administer the policy. The records custodian phrase has been changed to records officer. This is to bring it into better alignment with state law. State law has a specific definition that applies to records custodian. Some additional kind of refinements to this final policy before the board today. We've pulled the referenced forms out of the policy to allow staff to make updates within the confines of the policy, make updates to reflect either the needs of the requesters or to improve efficiency. So those forms are mostly for internal use and can be updated administratively. And then there's kind of the out of scope language has been tightened up to help us focus on whether county is the custodian or additional custodian of record. The out of scope request may apply to certain departments that are called out, like the clerk's office, for example. But bottom line is this final draft is intended to be clear, easier to administer, and more consistent with Oregon law. So at this point, staff recommends that the board move forward with adoption of the updated public records policy. Because this policy is intended to, hopefully improve our production of documents to the public. And it's really there for the benefit of the public. If the board wants to, you could certainly open up for any sort of public comment specific to this right now. But I'm happy to answer any questions the board has.
No, I think it's a good policy. I think it's well involved. There's a lot of information in it. I think it's a good roadmap and way for people to know what we need to do and make sure that we stay on key and do it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited that we were able to reduce the cost of public records to people that are required to pay. And I think the way we've worked our forms will streamline it. If you aren't required to pay, you'll quickly be able, as the staff, to look through and check those boxes and then move on to the next level. And then I think it protects not only us, but the requester, that we know why we didn't allow that information to go out without cost. And, you know, again, I just think I think we do a really good job here at the county of working on transparency and finding different ways to put it out there and always improving what we're doing. So I appreciate all the work that was done on this. I'm comfortable with a quick public meeting or not.
I think you can ask, but I agree with both what Commissioner Barney and Commissioner Crawford both said, and I want to thank you because I know you put a lot of thought into this, Will, and you did a very, very good job.
Well, I appreciate that. Brianna was very helpful and we had outside counsel guiding us through the process, but I appreciate everybody's provided input. And I just to Commissioner Crawford's point, I think one of the benefits of this updated policy is as far as fee waivers go, hopefully we have a process that will ensure consistency and an easy way for us to review those decisions going forward and make sure we are consistently applying that to the public and the requesters who are making the request for public records. So I think it'll ultimately result in a more efficient, the new policy overall will result in a more efficient, clear, more transparent process for the public.
All right, we'll quickly open the public meeting or public comment. Anybody in the room? Anybody online? Either raise your hand or put in the chat box. Okay, well, looks like we have. Oh. Have you unmuted? Justin, I assume from the Primeville Review. You should be unmuted.
Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me now?
Much better, yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to express, as it was quite obvious that we had some difficulties back in early 2025 and did challenge the county, in particular on the issues pertaining to the county's process related to public records. I just wanted to express on behalf of the Primeville Review and Western Media Group that we appreciate the county's efforts here to refine its process and work again with its outside counsel. And I think guidance that initially came through our past dispute with the Oregon Public Records Advocate to get to this point. I appreciate Manager Van Vactor including us in communication on the process to draft this policy. We did have a little bit of input on thoughts of where we would potentially challenge the policy as it was, but I think those concerns have been addressed. And again, I thank the county for taking these important steps because as it's codified in our ethics, you know, we're not here to generally take a stand on particular issues, except we are tasked with advocating for open government and open records. And that is a core foundation of what we do as journalists. And so again, appreciate the county's effort and especially that of Manager Van Vactor's. And we hope that this will, again, greatly improve the process for us to be able to obtain information and better inform the public when the public comes to us with questions and concerns that we're tasked to look into.
Yeah, thank you for your input throughout the process. Anybody else? Okay, well,
Brad H. Is that her hand there?
that's a different hand.
That's Brianna.
That's Brianna's hand.
Brianna's waving.
Your hand. Yeah, do you have a question?
All right, we'll close the public discussion.
I make a motion to approve in the matter of adopting an updated policy for responding to public records requests, order number 2026-17.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right, Christina?
Morning, commissioners. Ooh, that's
Good morning.
Good morning, Christina.
You have before you today the order for the fee schedule for fiscal year 2027. It does require a public hearing. So happy to go through any questions you may have on that. There was one adjustment since we presented it last week, and that was to correct reference to the county court under the community development fees and correct that to Board of Commissioners. I believe it references commissioners now instead of county court.
Perfect. All right, do we want to ask our questions and then start the public meeting, or should we ask our questions during the public meeting?
You're the chair. It's your decision.
Um,
That's why you get the big bucks.
yeah. All right, we will open the public hearing. Anybody in the room? Anybody online? Susie?
We're done with public. Okay. It's a good thing that Will explained to me that the new fees weren't something that you did, John, that they came down from the state. Because I had a real problem with appliance vent installation, relocation or replacement, which is not included in an appliance permit for $10. And I thought if I move my dryer vent, I am not running down to the county and giving you $10. So like I say, you're very lucky. Will explained it. The other thing was the private burial for $300. I thought that was that's a new thing. So I just want to say that now that I've been explained, this is a state statute coming down and being forced on us. I've settled down.
Didn't do it this time.
All right, anything else? We'll close the public hearing. Okay, anybody have any discussion after the public hearing?
No discussion. So do we need to have another hearing? We have a second hearing, or you presented at work session and now it's been presented here. Can we move forward or no?
Correct. There's only one public hearing for the fee schedule,
Right.
so you can move forward with
Alright.
approval if
Entertain a
you're
motion.
comfortable.
Okay.
Ryan?
It's my turn.
Yes, it's your turn. Tag, you're it.
And find the right page that gives me it here. Here we go. I'd like to make a motion to approve order number 2026-20 in the matter of ordering fees for the fiscal year 2026 budgeted beginning July 1st, 2026.
And I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
Can we make a quick correction? It's for fiscal year 27, beginning on July 1st, 2026.
Okay.
Is
Let's
that-
correct
is the
our order
error-
and make it 2027?
That's what I was going to
versus
ask if the error was in the order.
2026.
And I will second the amendment to the motion.
Any discussion?
Discussion.
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Do you have a copy of that order to correct the? Okay.
So we need to correct the second whereas also, because I believe, and probably the other one, because they're referring to years. So they'd all be wrong.
We'll make sure to get those corrected before it's signed.
Okay.
Thank you, Christina, for
Thank
all
you.
your work.
Okay. Celtic Fest.
Geez. Good morning, Commissioners. John Astor, Community Development Director. For you, we have a social gathering application for the Central Oregon Celtic Festival and Highland Games. Last year, I believe this event was scheduled to have their event, I think in Redmond or Deschutes. And it had to cancel last minute, and it did not trigger the numbers for a social gathering. So we accommodated them, and they had this event at the same site, but without the numbers to trigger the social gathering requirements. And at least I didn't hear anything coming back negative about the event. This year, I think they're estimating higher numbers, and so they did trigger the social gathering requirements. I want to thank Eric Blaine, who's not here today. He did the majority of the legwork on this. So I'm just going to start here from the top. This event is scheduled to be on the weekend of June 13th and 14th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's described as a family-friendly festival focused on sharing Celtic culture with the community. It has vendors and artisans, food and drinks, live music, Scottish clans, an athletic competition, and the Scottish Highland Games. So with a social gathering permit, a social gathering is kind of a smaller event than a mass gathering. In our code, there are very few requirements for the permit. The permit requirements are that the permit's only good for a period of not more than 120 hours duration. The applicant must be 18 years of age. The permit may not be transferred or assigned. If there's a dispute over the number of people reasonably anticipated, the Board of Commissioners controls. And then the permit does not allow the applicant or the permittee to make any permanent physical alterations to the real property or erect any permanent structures. So those are the only requirements. There's a lot of information required with the application, and there's a lot of input from different county entities, and but those aren't the requirements. And so I think that means there's some wiggle room with the Board of Commissioners as far as what you guys ultimately decide. There are a few issues here on the application that I want to bring to your attention that we'll probably need to talk about. I'll start with Eric's main concern was on the insurance coverage. So as you can imagine, they need to have an insurance policy to make sure that the events are covered, but insurance providers like to have some carve-outs, and they have quite a few carve-outs here on what the policy will cover. And so Eric's recommendation is that there would be a condition in the permit that no activities are allowed that are not covered by the insurance provider. So for instance, this thing rules out inflatable recreational devices, pyrotechnics, fireworks, Zorba was one of them. No surfing, no haunted houses, no bare knuckle boxing, no use of sharpened or live edged weapons. And so basically items like that. I think Eric's recommendation is we make sure there's a line in the permit conditions that none of these events will take place. There's Katie so they are offering up basically 10 porta potties. They are expecting 1,300 participants each day. And plan on having 10 porta potties. Katie has recommended 12 porta potties. There is, what was the other one? Portable water. It's important to have portable water on site. Staff has recommended there be not less than 12 gallons of potable water per person per day. The applicant is proposing to simply have bottled water through vendor sales. And so that's another item that you guys will need to discuss.
Question on that, the fact that that water is in water bottles and you have to purchase it, is that acceptable versus, I mean, when you're providing it, is that a free thing or is it you have to buy it? Because what if I don't have the money to buy it?
It sounds so. The organizers here online, you can ask her directly, but my understanding is that they would need to purchase the water, and so there would be no.
So is that written in any clause there? Because when you're saying you're required to have so much water per person, is that provision that it has to be purchased or should it be free? Is basically what I'm kind of getting.
Yeah, so I started off the only in our code, the only things that are required of the permit are those kind of 5 things that I listed that didn't have anything to do with the factors. And so this is a suggestion by staff to have free potable water on site. But I don't see it as it's not an applicable criteria like we would have in a land use decision.
So you cannot say that there has to be free. Basically, you're saying that isn't a provision we can make.
It's up to you guys. No, you guys have tons of discretion on how this should be done appropriately. And it's up to you guys to issue the permit with the conditions you think will keep the public health in mind.
I mean, I don't think we need to be, if there's water there, if somebody's sick, I'm sure they'll give them free water. I mean, I can't.
I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
looking
yeah,
at,
I know.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at public health here, and
Yep.
that's what I'm saying. If
Oh.
you have no access to money. I mean, yes, I would hope they give them water, but I'm just saying, I'm just asking the condition.
Yeah, they can bring a water truck that has potable water or something for situations like that, or if there were a fire or something.
They just kind of can describe it out as 15,600 gallons of potable water,
Yeah.
not in any different form of water other than quantity of water.
Yep. Actually, Brianna, can you go to the documents that I sent yesterday on the should be in the packet? And so go to the traffic control plan. And so this event is scheduled to be at O'Neill Arena. One of the suggestions from Brad is about they need to have a traffic control plan prepared by a professional that will be approved by the county. And so the applicant, this, as you guys know, O'Neill Arena is the intersection of O'Neill Highway and Lone Pine Road. They stated here in the traffic control plan that that basically the road doesn't have that much traffic generally, and they're all going to be entering through this long driveway and not collecting tickets until you walk up, and so there's not going to be a lot of backup on the road. And so, you know, this we've seen a lot more comprehensive, detailed traffic control plans in this, but you know, you could say that it looks like traffic control is not going to be a major issue with the location of this event, not like it's downtown or something like that. So there's also a site plan in there that shows where the events are going to be structured, where they're going to be taking place. And they have a crowd control security plan. They have 2 to 3 security guards that will be on site during all hours of the festival. And so basically this is their application. Like I said, last year, I don't think they triggered the numbers for this permit. And so they didn't have to go through any of this process. And so these are the kind of the benchmarks that we have in place. And these are the recommendations from staff, but it's up to your discretion on ultimately what we approve if we're going to approve this event.
Yeah, there is a really long driveway there. If you look at the map. And,
Yeah.
You know, if they're not stopping them at the entrance, there should be plenty of room for people to get in.
And you can see on the site plan, they have this big parking area up there. So it should, one would imagine they can just smoothly enter the site and go up there and get off the main road.
Yeah.
There's also we usually typically ask for a $5,000 security deposit before the event. I think this event is you know, not bootstrap. It doesn't have a ton of funds. And so I imagine they might be asking for some leniency on that as well. Are there any more questions for staff before? I think we should have Ms. Reed get on if you guys have any questions to ask her.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I do want to address a few of the things that you guys talked about. Per the recommendations for staff, as far as the traffic control plan, I have looked into some traffic control supervisors that I might be able to either hire or at least consult with. So we can maybe put something in place that's a little bit more on the professional side of things if you do need that, and also have on call if they need to be on site. And as far as the potable water situation, we also talked to, I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but it's a water vendor that's actually in Redmond, and they have, you know, water truck that will actually come and offer water there. Again, like you guys were mentioning, if someone, we will have first aid water, so that's not a problem. I mean, if someone is needing it, we will give it away for sure. All of our contestants for our athletic portion do get free water, so that is also covered in that 12 gallons per person in that side. That will be free. So as far as beverages go, you know, obviously the vendors will like to make their money, obviously, in that sense, but we will have water available for anyone that does not have the money to afford it or is in a first aid situation. And then as well as the deposit, like he was saying, yeah, we are a nonprofit that relies solely on community support. And like everyone else knows, the economy is pretty rough right now. So we have not been able to confirm as many donations and sponsorships as we would like. So that would be something that I would ask for some either leniency or negotiation on if we could. Let's see, what was the other? John, can you remind me if the other ones that I haven't covered? The other recommendations. Oh, the insurance. Yes. Insurance wise, I went back and forth with Eric a bit with my insurance company, and we will not perform anything that's not on their coverage. But they're pretty good about if we need any sort of changes that they can accommodate. So, but again, we would not perform any activities that are on their exclusion list. And this is a company that we've used since 2019, I believe. And this is like a master policy for this type of event that they use. So this covers everything that will be held within this type of event.
I think one thing I forgot to mention is Russ mentioned that there are requirements from the fire and rescue that aren't included in our social gathering application. And so that should be included also as a condition that they'll comply with everything from Crook County Fire and Rescue.
Yes. Yeah, I actually worked with them last year too. We worked together with kind of a little evacuation plan, and as far as like EMS access to be able to come in from either side of the property. So there will be an open gate that they can get through. If they're not able to access quickly from the Lone Pine side, they can access through O'Neill Highway.
Michelle, how was the event last year? Were there any issues that came up?
Not one, no. No, and all of our food vendors were registered in Deschutes County beforehand, and that was all that Crook County required, was that they were already registered in Deschutes County. Then they wouldn't have to register in Crook County as well for the health department.
I don't have any questions. Thank you very much for clearing all that up.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
What do we want to do about the $5,000?
Well, so I kind of have a little bit of a motion. I kind of put together, I'm just gonna say my thoughts right now. So let's not do a motion. But that we approve social gathering 2026-01 with a $2,500 deposit. The assurance of 12 porta potties. Water will be provided to anyone who is unable to pay for free. The insurance, they don't perform any events on the exclusion list, and that they meet the fire and rescue conditions. So have I covered pretty much everything there? Well, first, and then we do need to ask if there's public. I don't know if this gentleman would like to
I
speak.
think we got to open the public
Yeah,
hearing.
okay, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts right now.
The water would be in addition to the requirements of the amount of water, 15,600.
Well, so I don't think I think they're just planning on having vendors bring bottled water, not a specific gallon amount like was recommended.
But it is recommended here, it's required to have that minimum of 15,600 gallons.
Again, I don't know if it's a requirement. It's a recommendation by staff. The permit requirements are pretty threadbare.
Yeah, I think.
So we could do that then,
I
with a
just-
minimum.
Yeah.
With a minimum of the 15,600.
And-
I just want to make sure that if somebody doesn't
I mean, I would
can
be okay
afford
with
$5 bottle of water, they get it.
I think if it's for a medical reason, I mean, I think anybody could say they can't afford a bottle of water and just give,
I know, but that isn't my judgment to make.
yeah. But I mean, again, I think it should be for if water needs to be available for medical reasons, not just anybody who wants water gets free water.
Because it could be very hot there. That's,
Yeah.
we don't know what the weather's going to do from.
Did
day
you
to day.
cover the insurance?
I said insurance that they have a certificate of insurance and do not perform any
Perfect.
events that are on the exclusion list. And that's actually Shelley's words, but I like that. So thank you for those words.
Yes.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Do we need to open a public hearing? Public hearing open?
No.
Anybody online?
Brad's on there. Brad, are you okay with the traffic control plan, Brad?
And do I need to state the traffic control in the motion?
No, it's been submitted, so I think see what Brad has to say and then.
Yeah, I'm all right with the traffic control plan as long as it doesn't back out into the O'Neill Highway or Highway 370. So, and that's the reason for the traffic control supervisor is to kind of guide that along if it does start piling up out there because of patrons showing up in mass quantities. So, yeah, I'm all right with it.
What do you do if they're projecting, I want to say 1,300 is what I looked at, and now all of a sudden 5,000 people show up? Then what happens then?
It's a good question. So I think that would trigger, where was this section? They're under 504240. There's granted the authority, obviously it's there anyway, but the authority of the sheriff to regulate. And so the sheriff has the authority to order the crowd to disperse and leave the social gathering site if the permit holder cannot maintain order and compliance with all applicable state and local laws. And then so on sub B, if at any time the social gathering number of individuals or vehicles exceeds the number estimated in the judgment of the sheriff, an unreasonable threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the public, the county sheriff has the authority to require the permit holder to limit further admissions until a sufficient number of individuals or vehicles have left the site to eliminate the health, safety, or welfare threat to the public. So there you go.
So is that something that needs to be in the motion, or that's the discretion of the sheriff and that's partly his thing?
It looks like it's at the discretion of the sheriff.
So that is not anything we need to touch on.
No.
So I need some clarity on your comment about this was just staff's recommendation. Staff's recommendation then is on this permit that we're going to sign. So are we signing what's on here? Or is it going to be changed, or
Yeah.
if that pertains to the 15,600 gallons, the 12 restrooms, the 250 attendees for one security for every 250. So and the insurance will need to be changed. It's 5,000 on here. I just, that comment didn't jive with what we're signing for. So.
No, exactly. So that would be part of the motion. So if the motion had certain aspects that are different than what's in this draft permit, then those would be amended in the final permit that then would be signed. And so it might make sense. We can just run through. There's a lot of conditions. I can run through them if you'd like right now. We can talk about what would need to be altered. All right. So this is the draft permit that was put in place. I'll just go through these one by one. Brianna, you can pull this up on the screen if you'd like. So number one, basically we need to comply with the terms of 5.04. In the event of a conflict, the permittee is to notify the county and abide by the provision most restrictive of permittee's actions and or most protective of the general public until otherwise informed by the county. I'm on page 3 of 7. Hours of operation, permittee will not allow the event to begin before or extend later than the dates and times described above. Number 3, attendee notification. Each day at 1 o'clock, the permittee is to provide accurate, contemporaneous information on the number of attendees at the gathering as of that date and time to the Crook County Sheriff's Office at their email address. I think all those are fine. Number 5, permittee will maintain the points of contact listed above at every hour of the event. I think that one's fine. Number 6, permittee will maintain all licenses and permits for their activities not otherwise specifically described herein. I think that one's fine. Number 7, no condition or provision of this permit may be modified, amended, or waived by any statement or document, including documents required by the submitted by these conditions. I think that one's fine. Alcohol service, number 8, every person serving alcohol has and maintains a valid and current OLCC server license. Each server will have their license and present it. Hours of alcohol service will be no earlier than 1 p.m. and no later than 10 p.m. We might need to ask Shelley, because I think on the application they had the hours from 10 a.m. To 6 p.m. Shelley, were you planning on, so that all the servers are OLCC licensed, Shelley, were you planning on trying to sell alcohol before 1 p.m.?
We generally just open everything up when the event opens up. There's not a lot of people that do, but generally, at least by 11, there are people that are wanting to, people eat lunch early, might want, a beverage with their lunch. So we do generally ask to sell earlier than 1.
So here's something where we could amend it and have alcohol service at 11, 11 to 6, if that was something you guys wanted to do. I think the event's over at 6 p.m. every day, correct, Shelley?
Yes, on Saturday we do have a vendor and athletic appreciation, so we extend that just for those individuals, not for the public.
So how late would you want alcohol service to be?
Probably 9 o'clock, so 11 to 9 if that's possible.
Okay.
Somebody might want a Bloody Mary for breakfast.
Gotta get up late, Brian.
Yeah.
No cocktails on site though.
Oh.
Number 9, wastewater permittee will maintain not fewer than 12 restrooms, which are the porta johns, and that was Commissioner Hermack's suggestion. Drinking water, all distribution lines, if any, I don't think there will be any. A minimum pressure of 20 pounds per square inch. That's not going to be a thing. And then so there's a condition here that for each day, permittee will maintain not less than 15,600 gallons of potable water on site. So that would be these lines here would need to be changed if we're allowing only bottled water without a food truck or a water truck.
Just put comma at a water available on request, and then if there was an issue, we have covered our thing, and I would say that because they should have that amount of water.
Yeah.
Because if it's hot, they could go to 25,000 gallons. But again, if we just put comma water available upon request, we're not
For health issues.
yeah. Well, or for health or whatever you want to say, but we're not making it a fiscal thing. It's not like written out there. So 10,000 people run up and want free water, but I'm trying to kind of
Yeah.
walk a line here a little bit.
Number 11 on fire and fire suppression, permittee will allow the fire chief and their designees to enter upon and inspect the property while hours of the event. That's fine. They'll allow the state fire marshal, same thing. That's fine. Camping space, if any, shall be a minimum of 1,000 square feet or large enough to accommodate a parked camping vehicle, or tent, as the case may be, and to maintain at least 15 feet separation from any other camping vehicle, or tent building, structure, or property line. I think in the site plan, I don't think there's an issue with that one. Permittee will not use or allow fireworks during the event. That's one of the things that's not covered under the insurance policy. So there's belt and suspenders there. Number 12.
So numbers, because you're in there with the fire, then no campfires are allowed. It's closed burning, comply with all that. That would be a big insurance thing.
Yeah.
Well, and
We won't have fires allowed.
I think they mean like barbecues.
Oh, okay.
and we need to do that because they just come out with the new fire regs. So yeah. Good catch, Brian.
And item 11, I think that might be a good place to add that the permittee will comply with all requirements of Crook County Fire and Rescue, which I assume also has no fires. All right, number 12, medical, mental health, and first aid services. Facilities shall be provided in which the healthcare professional can provide patient care and treatment. The facility shall be enclosed, protected from the elements, and have chairs, locked cabinets for equipment and medicine. All necessary medicine and instruments for conducting first aid and examination shall be available. I'm going to keep reading these requirements, but so they have in their application an individual for first aid.
Yeah, we will have a registered nurse on site, and then several of us are CPR and basic life support certified as well.
Okay, yeah, and so it's Clint Sheets was the first aid responder listed on here with the contact.
Yeah, one of, yeah.
But I don't know if there's any information about the first aid facility, and so Rochelle, will there be a enclosed facility?
I mean, there aren't any enclosed buildings there, but we do have, we just put up canopies, and, it'll be a canopy that's marked with, chairs and a cooler for water and first aid and everything. It's basically just going to be right next to our information booth. So we're kind of running it as well.
Like at the rodeo,
Yeah.
line of rodeo, they
Yep.
just canopy and that.
Right.
Someone, so I feel that's sufficient. I mean, obviously, they're not gonna build a building for.
So you change our language to canopy.
It's not allowed on the permit.
Yeah, they're not allowed to build anything anyway.
I mean, at a rodeo, which is probably more chance of a thing, it's fine, so I would see that fine.
So I'll keep going here. I'm still number 12. Lighting with the emergency medical facility shall be provided and shall not be less than 200-foot candles in areas where treatment and minor surgery are conducted. Attending healthcare professionals shall keep accurate records of patients in treatment and shall immediately notify the health department and the sheriff's office of all cases involving a communicable disease. And the permittee will maintain at least one licensed nurse practitioner or one licensed physician capable of providing first aid care on site during all hours of the event. Cheryl, are you okay with the rest of these requirements on health?
Yes.
Okay. Security and crowd control, number 13. Permittee shall maintain an accurate count of persons attending the event and shall provide adequate security arrangements to limit further admissions to the event when the permitted number of attendees has been admitted. Permittee will provide accurate count of attendees to the county immediately upon request. The permittee will ensure that no security or crowd control personnel have been convicted of a felony. The permittee will provide security personnel numbering not fewer than 1 per 250 attendees who shall be duly certified as required by law. And the permittee will provide all certifications and documentation related to security personnel as may be required by the sheriff's office. And so, as we discussed, the permittee is planning on having 2 to 3 security personnel. So I think that's just a flat number and not based on the number of attendees. And so is that a provision that we want to amend?
Yeah, just strike it and amend it when it's going to be.
Okay. I'm sorry, can you be more specific? Is that 2 security personnel or 3? Or will it vary?
We were basing it a little bit on attendance, so according to this, we can make it 3.
Okay.
Just so it's a little bit more coverage. It is
Sure,
pretty
sure.
spaced out, so it's going to be better to have more than 3 or more than 2 anyway.
Agreed. Okay, number 14, traffic control. The permittee shall provide easily accessible roads of all weather construction at the event. All roads shall be graded so as to be self-draining and shall be maintained in such condition that emergency and other required vehicles can move upon them unencumbered and carry out their functions at all times. The permittee will abide by the provisions of the traffic control plan approved by the county. The permittee shall have a traffic control plan written by a professional company to be approved by the county road superintendent. Any ungraveled road shall not be considered as being an all-weather road. The motor vehicle parking spaces shall be arranged to eliminate blockage of parked vehicles and allow vehicles free access to exits at all times. The permittee will maintain parking spaces reserved for county or state vehicles immediately adjacent to each of the following locations of at least 10 feet wide by 20 feet long: the Command Operations Center and each Medical First Aid Center. Each motor vehicle parking space shall have a minimum width of 10 feet and a minimum length of 20 feet and shall be clearly marked. Permittee will obtain all necessary permits and approvals from any public entity which has legal authority over the roadways the permittee intends to use. And that's it for 14. Are there any items in there that we want to take a closer look at?
I'm good.
So I think, shall there just be parking in the grass, right? These aren't going to be individually spray painted. So I don't want to strike that. You guys okay striking that they'll be individually marked?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We will have, I'm sure, obviously, but we will have the ADA parking up close. It won't be in the grass. It will be up closer. I think it's on the map there that you can see it, but it's up in a graveled area that's all flat and graded.
Yeah, the only thing I would be concerned about is that the ambulance could get into the first aid station or something like that where they ask for that. That would be, that would be a
if you can see the yellow section on the right on that little map there is a section there right along where they can drive in that they can park if needed, like if they're going to be on site. So we do have that open for emergency vehicles right by the gate that would let them into the first aid.
Perfect.
Number 15, during all days and hours of the event and for not less than 90 days thereafter, permittee will maintain casualty insurance to cover claims relating to the event, including but not limited to pre-event setup, the event itself, post-event cleanup, and post-event cleanup activities. The insurance Policy will include limits of as described in our code, must be on a per occurrence basis, and provide for the payment of claims within 180 days after the scheduled termination. Permittee will provide current copies of the policy to the county at no charge immediately upon request. The policy must contain a complete statement. Crook County is named as an additional insured, and the insurance policy may not be cancelable and must provide coverage against liability for death, injury, disability, and for damage to property arising outside of the event.
So is that where we need to do, and this is your words again, Shelley, they don't perform any events on the exclusion list? Is that where we want to put that? Just add that in there? And would that be included in where you're talking about Crook County Code, Chapter 5.04, or would it be an additional bullet point?
If I'm drafting that, I'd probably just throw a new bullet point in there.
I think that should be put in there because that was our
Yep.
legal suggestion, and so it needs to be added.
Yep. (16) Permittee agrees it shall defend, indemnify, and hold harmless Crook County, its agents, made or recovered against them for damages to real or personal property or injury or death. I think that one's fine. That's what Eric has worked with them on. Periodic meetings. Number 17, the permittee will meet with county staff and their designees wherein the property and all event facilities may be inspected at such times as the county may require due to conditions discovered at or before the event. I think we're fine there. 18, the permittee consents to the personal jurisdiction of Oregon state courts for any matter related to the conduct of the social gathering. We could add in there Crook County, but I think we're fine. Conflict, in the event of a conflict, the provisions of the permit will control. Permittee will immediately notify the county upon discovery of any such conflict. I think we're fine there. 20, any attachments specified by this permit may be subject to future revisions as the county may reasonably require due to changed circumstances. I think we're okay there. Here's one we need to address. So within 7 days before the first day of the event, permittee will have paid over to the county a deposit as required by 504-2406E in the amount of $5,000.
So what does section 5.04-2, I mean, does it have, like, are we violating that? You're stating a code, are we violating by giving them a break, I guess, and reducing it to 2,500?
So
I don't want to violate a code, but
I'm going to explain this to you. I think that maybe the language here as required and the permit condition is a little bit overbroad. So as I explained, there are permit requirements in 504-230, and that's just basically the permittee's 18 years of age, you can't transfer it, blah, blah, blah. In the application, that's the section where this deposit is listed. It says 5024 application. So the application should contain this stuff. And when it talks about the deposit, what it says is permit conditions. The county court may, as conditions for the permit, require. And so that's giving you guys discretion. You may require that.
so we could reduce that.
Yes.
Okay. What is your input on doing a reduction? The two of you, what do you think?
I'm fine with it.
Does that work for you, Shelley?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it's okay, could we do 2,000 instead of 2,500? Like I said, this is definitely a lot for us to put on, so.
I think today we'll have a discount sale, and I think that would be acceptable.
And you know, it's refundable.
Okay.
You're
Yeah.
getting it back.
Yes, yes.
As long as you don't.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is there are things we have to pay up front, you know, like deposits to the arena and, you know,
Got it.
purchases of other things. So that's the only drawback. But so I think 2,000 would be, you know, a lot more doable for us.
Okay,
Yeah, fine
and
with
I'm
me.
fine with
Yeah.
that, totally.
Thank you. We appreciate that very much.
Number 22, the business entity constituting the permittee must remain registered in good standing with the Secretary of State. I think that one's fine. The permit immediately becomes void in the event permittee applies for, basically goes into bankruptcy or has a custodian take the operations over. And so I think that one's fine. And then 24 is the catch-all. If the permittee fails to meet any of the conditions of this permit or applicable law, the county may terminate this permit immediately upon notice to the permittee. So I think that one's fine as well.
Yeah, all looks good to me.
Yep.
Suzie?
Thank you.
I will make a motion to approve application number CC Social Gathering 2026-01 as amended.
There you go.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, but do we maybe need, is anybody, I forgot, we should have probably asked if the public cared about any of our amendments.
Um,
No one's raising a hand. Okay,
Probably want to get out of the public hearing to do all this.
we closed it. It's close.
now I make the motion as presented earlier.
I second the motion again.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, I.
Okay, staff will get to
Thank you.
amending this permit. Thank you, Shelley, and then we'll get it
Thank
executed.
you.
Yeah,
Done before the
use
event.
Crook County.
Thank you,
Yep.
Shelley.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, John again. Yeah. Go ahead, let it rip.
Script, yeah, you can let it rip.
You can have it back.
I did the last one.
The Crook County Board of Commissioners convenes today, Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 10:15 a.m. to conduct public hearing on record number 217-25-000400 planning regarding a comprehensive plan amendment to add 4.1 acres to Crook County's inventory of significant mineral and aggregate sites. The subject property is located in the northwest corner of Crook County, addressed as 15334 Northwest O'Neill Highway, and it's located adjacent to the current permitted area that is the same tax lot. It is identified on the county assessor's map as 1414270000100 and 1414000001801. Today, the Board of Commissioners will be considering a recommendation from the Planning Commission to add the subject property to the county's aggregate inventory as a 3C site. A complete copy of the Planning Commission's recommendation is available on the county's website or from the Planning Department. The Board of County Commissioners may elect to uphold, modify, or reverse the Planning Commission's recommendation. This is the second of two hearings the board will hold. The first was May 20th. The hearing will be de novo, which means like new, thus normal quasi-judicial land use procedures will apply.
Sorry, Commissioner Crook, I'd recommend we do the motion to read by title only before you get
Okay.
too far into that.
I'd entertain a motion to read by title only.
I was wondering when that part came. I make a motion to read by title only ordinance number 358, second public hearing for
Second.
comprehensive plan amendment.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Barney, I.
Crawford, aye. So let me find that. Okay, this is an ordinance number 358, an ordinance amending the Crook County Comprehensive Plan Goal 5 inventory by including a new 3C aggregate site and adopting a site-specific environmental, social, economic, and energy ESEE analysis and program to achieve Goal 5 for the aggregate site and declaring an emergency. Do I have to reread the last paragraph?
Which last paragraph?
The one I just read.
No, if you read it once, that's good.
Okay, available criteria. For reference, the applicable approval criteria are as follows. Oregon Administrative Rules, OAR, Chapter 660, Division 16, Crook County Comprehensive Plan, Ordinance Number 55, Comprehensive Plan Mineral and Aggregate Policies, Ordinance Number 43, Crook County Goal 5 Resource, Mineral and Aggregate Elements, Crook County Code 18.144, Aggregate Resource Sites. This hearing will be conducted pursuant to Crook County Code Chapter 18.168 and 18.172. At this time, I will poll the board regarding conflicts of interest and ex parte communications, including personal knowledge, bias, prejudgment, or personal interest.
Hermrick, no.
Barney, no.
Seth Crawford, no. All right. Does anyone in the audience or on the phone wish to challenge the participation or any member of this board regarding conflicts of interest, ex parte communication, or prejudgments in this matter? So first we'll start here. Anybody online? Please say something in the chat if you're concerned.
Or at least raise your hand.
Or raise your
Seems to be
hand.
working better,
Except Brianna.
Yeah.
except for Brianna, who's keeps waving at us.
Okay, during the hearing, testimony, arguments, and evidence will be directed towards the applicable approval standards and criteria or other standards and criteria in the Crook County Land Use Regulations or Comprehensive Plan that the person testifying believes apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence with sufficient detail to give the hearing authority and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Failure of the application to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the hearing authority to respond to these issues precludes an action for damages in circuit court. The record is open and will remain open until the soonest, the close of the second hearing. If a party wishes to request that the record remain open or the second hearing be continued, it may make such a request in accordance with Crook County Code 18.172.081. The decision of the Board of County Commissioners may be appealed in accordance with ORS 197 and OAR 661. The burden of proof shall remain with the applicant to show the relevant criteria are met for the application. Prior to the close of the second hearing, the applicant may choose to waive their right to a final written argument. If the applicant does not choose to waive the right, they have 7 days from the close of the hearing to submit final written argument. We have muted the phone line so everyone will be able to hear clearly, but we will now unmute to conduct a roll call to determine who is online and to ask whether they intend to testify. I would just change that as not everybody online has to say their name. Just if you're interested in testifying, please identify yourself. And then if you're in favor or opposition or neutral to the application, we will then call on them to testify at the appropriate time. After we have taken roll call, we will mute the phone lines. Anybody in here? Anybody online? Raise your hand. We'll unmute
Yeah,
you.
Andy Archer.
Hi, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here joined by my colleague Jim Newton of Cascade Geoengineering. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. You heard from Quinn Burkett from our office here at Francis Hansen and Martin in the last meeting. Quinn's unable to attend today, so I'll be sitting in for him.
Right. Anyone else? It doesn't look like there's any more. If you're here in person and want to testify, we will call on you shortly. If you have written testimony that you'd like to submit, please hand it to one of our staff members. All persons testifying must be recognized by the board. Please speak clearly and state your name and address for the record. If you are speaking on behalf of someone else or a group, please state who you're representing. The order of testimony will be as follows. We will hear from staff first, then we will take testimony from any federal, state, and local agencies. Then the applicant will have the opportunity to testify. Anyone who is in favor or neutral to the application will then be heard. Then we will hear from those in opposition. Then the applicant has the opportunity to rebut. Does anybody in the audience on the phone have any questions to the process today? I don't see any. At this time, we will open the public hearing. John?
Good morning, Commissioners. So this is a comprehensive plan amendment to add an aggregate site to our inventory. And so as we go through this goes through a recommendation from the Planning Commission, and then it comes through you guys as an ordinance. So we always have 2 public hearings minimum. This is the second and potentially final hearing. This is kind of operator neutral. This is just to put it on our map and to show that here's a significant site, and here's basically how we need to balance the competing interests of the county in order to put this site on our map. This is not the conditional use permit. That will come later. We have an application for that will come if this comprehensive plan amendment is approved. Brianna, can you pull up the PowerPoint? And so you guys heard about this 2 weeks ago, and so I need to correct the record on the script. The first hearing was on May 6th, not May 20th, but so you guys are familiar with this. Next slide, please. This is a relatively small request. They are asking to add approximately 4.1 acres to the county's inventory. My understanding is a lot of this area has already previously been mined. This is from, they went outside their boundaries and they're trying to get right with Dogami. And so I think a lot of this 4.1 acres is just to get on the map to get it all on the up and up. And so the addition would include the ends of the quarry floor to the north, west, southeast, and east. And as I said before, there is a conditional use permit application for mining, crushing, and stockpiling. Next slide. There's where it is off O'Neill Highway. Next slide. And we are talking about that little circle down there going over that property line. Next slide. So here's kind of a site plan of the pit and the operation. Next slide. I'm running through the stuff quick, so if you guys want me to slow down or have any questions, please stop. But so as we go through with our current process for putting, sorry, previous slide. For putting the site on inventory, it's kind of a messy process. There's the old rule in OAR's Division 16. We have a few different ordinances that were put in place with DLCD in the 90s, and then there's the new OAR Division 23 that we don't, it's not incorporated, but we do lean on it for certain aspects of the comp plan designation. So next slide. Simplified, we go through 4 basic steps. The first step is the resource significant? The second is to identify if there are any potential conflicts to the site. The third, then, if there are, is to go through and analyze the economic, social, environmental, and energy consequences. And the fourth is to, as we consider those conflicts, to develop a program to achieve the goal. Next slide. So how do we determine if the resource is significant? We have some guidance on our ordinances, and we also have, this is one of the ones where we lean on Division 23. So we rank the aggregate source ranking 1 through 4. 1 is the best, which is determined by its resistance to abrasion, sodium sulfate soundness, and air degradation. And then that's where we lean on Division 23. The original site, sorry, keep going, Brianna, to quality. So is it significant? Is quality, quantity, and location? They gave us the necessary locational information on the quality side. The original site, the remainder of the 40-acre site, was categorized as a 1. In July of last year, Carlson Testing went out and did samples, and all those samples passed ODOT standards, and so they would qualify under this test as a 1. Moving on to quantity, that's another one we lean on Division 23. It needs to have, I think it's 500,000 tons of mineable basalt. And here on the testing they did, it's 500,000 ton threshold. The mineable volume of basalt is estimated at basically 725,000 cubic yards. Basalt has a density that can vary a little bit, and so you do a formula, you multiply that 725,000 by they did a conservative estimate here of 2.35 tons per yard to come up with 1.7 million tons of basalt in place, which would exceed the 500,000 ton threshold. And so the Planning Commission's recommendation is that this site is deemed significant. And so if there were no conflicts, it would be a 1C site, but there were conflicts identified, so we need to keep going with the test. Next slide. Sorry, keep going. Step 2. Identify conflicts. These are existing or potential land uses that could conflict with the site, not those which the site conflicts with, unless those conflicts could come back to impact the site. This is from a LUBA decision for the Hagley mine back in, I think, the 90s. The uses permitted outright in this zone, farm dwellings, et cetera. This is EFU. Conditional uses allowed or potentially allowed are public and private schools, churches, commercial activities in conjunction with farm use, secondary farm dwellings, private and public parks, campgrounds, hunting preserves, home occupations, boarding horses for profit, non-farm dwellings, and personal use airports. Next slide, please. So fortunately here, there are no dwellings near the expansion area. The closest structure is 3,000 feet away, and the site has been mined for many, many years. The rest of the operation there currently balances conflicts with a 500-foot impact area and restrictions on the establishment of potential conflicting uses. Next slide. So the Planning Commission conducted an EC analysis because there were existing or potential conflicts, and this is to determine the economic, social, environmental, and energy consequences in an even-handed two-way analysis. As we went through this 2 weeks ago, on the economic side, the benefits stated are there's a local aggregate resource for economic development. The burden would be that there currently is no evidence of negative impacts to agriculture, but there could be negative impacts should conflicting uses exist in the vicinity. On the social side, the benefits are an improved quality of life through employment, tax revenue, etc. The burden there is a reduction in the rural quality of life from dust, blasting, and traffic. Next slide. On the environmental side, the benefit would be a potential reduce truck trips from outside the region to bring aggregate into Crook County. And the burden is potential impacts to wildlife, but it's not in any mapped territory other than a golden eagle nesting site. And then, as always, the issues with potential impacts to surface or groundwater. On the energy side, the benefit is potential savings on fuel from trucking in aggregate from elsewhere, and the burden is that they will expend that same fuel locally in the form of running heavy equipment and processing material. And then the analysis with the statewide planning goals is in the Planning Commission recommendation. And so step 4 is you create the program to achieve. We have 3 different options. 3A is basically to protect the resource site fully by prohibiting all conflicting uses. A 3B is to allow conflicting uses fully, notwithstanding the impact to the resource site. And then 3C is kind of the balancing test where both benefits and burdens exist. And that's usually what we typically go for unless it's a site where there's either not any conflict or an abundance of conflict. And so as presented by staff in the program to achieve the goal, items were addressed like with the site plan, water rights, wildlife, fire protection, quality of life stuff with setbacks and traffic access, dust mitigation, and land uses within the impact area need to file a waiver of remonstrance for approval. And so that is basically a quick rundown of what we're looking at. The applicant's attorney, Quinn, is not available. Andy is available online to answer any questions and present. I don't see Jim in here, so I don't know. Andy, is Jim on the phone with you? I think he was going to present some as well, but basically that's all for staff, unless you guys have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
Hi, John. Andy here. Yes, Jim is here with me on the call.
Hi, John and the commission.
Morning, Jim. All right, so yeah, the staff now gets let the applicant go next, and then
Go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, commissioners, for your time this morning. Again, my name is Andy Archer. I'm sitting in for Quinn Burkett, attorney for applicant. Much of what I'm going to run through briefly is just reiterating many of the points that Quinn made in the prior meeting on the 6th of May. But essentially, like John alluded to, this is a modification of an existing site, which is already listed in the county's aggregate inventory. And the goal here is to just bring this site into compliance to allow for mining use at the pre-disturbed areas, which are outside the current permit boundary. Those areas are to the northwest, southeast, and east of the current permit boundary. And 2 out of 3 of those sort of proposed expansion areas are going to be work floor areas, and no new mining is going to occur there. Also, as John alluded to in his presentation, this is a highly productive aggregate mining site with approximately 1.7 million tons of high quality aggregate. So this site holds significant value compared to other aggregate sources in Crook County, and its presence provides a localized source of material that reduces the need for long-haul transport for more distant or lower quality sites in the region. So in that way, it'll be beneficial to the community and support economic development in the surrounding area as well. In terms of locational benefits for the geography of the site, much of the dust and noise mitigation will be naturally taken care of given its location in a canyon-like area. In terms of social impacts, again, quite minimal here. This is a pre-existing mining operation that's set back approximately 1 mile from the closest public highway. That's the O'Neill Highway. Structures closest to the site have not previously experienced mining-related disturbances, as the expansion areas were, as I've said, pre-disturbed mining areas. And, closest structure 3,000 feet away, closest resident 4,000 feet away. And as the staff report indicated, there's no evidence in the record of how farm usage on adjacent parcels may be negatively affected here. Turning to some environmental considerations. In terms of water, obviously my colleague Jim here is the expert and he can speak to this in further detail, but there's no surface or groundwater conflicts anticipated in this case. The site's proximity to the dry river raises minimal concerns given the nature of the dry river as an intermittent stream, which largely transports only transports irrigation water and only for certain times of the year, that being roughly April through October. And given that it's an intermittent stream, there's no fisheries related concerns there. Next closest water body is the Crooked River, approximately a mile away. So given that distance, there's likely to be no impact there. Again, briefly covering the groundwater concerns, nearly all wells within a mile of the site tap into confined aquifers, meaning that any potential seepage of mine-related water would not impact these wells. Lastly, in terms of wildlife, the site, isn't in any known grouse habitat, anything of that nature. And in terms of the golden eagle nesting sites nearby, their applicant has been in conversation with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service regarding this location and has been in an open dialogue with them. No blasting is going to occur during eagle breeding and nesting season, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services informed applicant that they're unlikely to require a special permit in this case. So just to wrap up, again, this is a modification of a site already in the county's aggregate inventory. The goal here is to just be good stewards of the land, follow the law, and just bring everything into compliance for mining use at these pre-disturbed areas, which historically occurred at this site. So that's what I have today. Again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Great. Anybody from state or federal or local agencies?
Commissioner Crawford, I'll just point out that Jim Newton is their water experts also online if you wanted to ask him any questions. A lot of this water specific stuff will be dealt with in the conditional use permit process.
Yes,
I'm fine.
I'm good. All right, anybody? Anybody neutral or in favor? Anybody in opposition? Do you want to have time for rebuttal? There's not really much to rebut, but
No, thank you.
okay. Does anybody have any in the audience or on the phone have any questions about the process today? Oh, I guess that was earlier. We will close the public hearing. You guys have any questions or comments?
No, I'm in favor of it. I think it's met all of the guidelines and applied and et cetera that needs to be met, and it is a valuable resource. We do need it, and same thing that would slow it down.
Okay. And I agree. At the first hearing, I went through everything and had all my questions answered, so I'm totally fine. So I will go ahead and make a motion that to approve ordinance 358 and accept the planning commission's recommendation and designate the subject property as a 3C site on Crook County's inventory of significant aggregate sites.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, John.
Okay, managers report.
Thank you, Commissioner Crawford. Just a couple of quick notes. Just a reminder that Monday is Memorial Day and most county offices will be closed. And then just kind of staying the course with my regular budget updates. Just want to note quickly that the budget committee, as the board knows, the budget committee approved the proposed budget last week, and we will be bringing that back on June 3rd for the board to adopt the budget. That's all I have this morning.
Susie?
So I went to the fair board on Monday night and just they went ahead and voted to replace the panels in the pavilion tent. So Casey was going to order them the next day, which would be Tuesday, and staff has the knowledge and the equipment to be able to install them. So that might be nice for the fair. We might have new panels there. The bathrooms are proceeding as they go, and there's been a lot of compliments, and people have been very tidy in the bathrooms, which is a very good thing. And they're working on the cinder block ones and hope to have them completed before June 5th for graduation, which we're keeping our fingers crossed because that could be quite bad if they weren't ready. And the other thing, they are going to have the veterans breakfast served by law enforcement this year again. They asked the fair if they would do flyers, and Band of Brothers is going to try to distribute the flyers. Our veterans office is going to try to distribute the information. Redmond doesn't have a large population of Band of Brothers, so we're going to invite the Redmond division, which will be very nice. And coffee will be at 6 a.m. and breakfast will be served at 7. So that was pretty much the discussions that they had. So there you go. And I don't really have anything else. Who will do the flyer? The fair will do the flyer, and then they will be distributing it out. And I will make sure that you get it for Facebook. But yes, because they feel that I guess last year, a lot of people didn't know about it. So they're trying to get a little bit more publicity out about it so we can get a greater attendance. And again, Ron's Comfort Food will provide the food like he does every year, which is very generous and very good. And that's all I know.
Ryan?
I don't have anything.
I'm good. All right. Any more public comment before we adjourn? I would make online.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion, or I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will entertain that same motion to adjourn.
We would make it.
I will make it. I'm making it firmly.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Perfect.